Hi, this is Mike Zapsik from a Shared Universe podcast studio, and you're listening to Talking Codswallop Podcast.
Hey, it's Taylor from Calling the Shots.
Hey, this is Steve from Calling the Shots.
Hey, what's up? It's Mike from the Pizza Beer Revolution podcast.
Hi, this is Derek D from PBR Podcast and DerekD.com, of course, and you are listening to Talking Codswallop. Talking Codswallop. How you guys doing? This is great. This is the POTUS. It's the President of the United States, Donald. You're looking at the wallop of the swelling. That's what you're listening to. It's great. I gotta tell you, the swallop of the wall is great. I love walls. And the cod wallop, it's swallop. Fantastic. You're listening to it. Wallops, cods. Fish, walls, swallows.
So, what is it we're doing?
Well, I just come on at this time every Tuesday, and then I just start babbling on.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We're on something, I think, called Speaking Fish.
It's not the Talking Chippy, is it?
That sounds sort of right, but normally there's someone who, herds us herding cat style, I think, and pulls it together. Does that sound right?
The talking?
Yeah, something like that.
The talking trout pout?
Yeah, talking trout pout. Yeah, that might be it, I think you could be right. Anyway, all right there. All right. So welcome to this week's Talking Codswallop. I be Gemma, I be. I'm James.
And I'm Andy. So sorry, guys. Unfortunately, Gemma is not with us today. She is hard at it editing our Halloween episode, which you hopefully have just listened to. If this is being dropped on normal time. Otherwise, if this is a banker episode, it was in 2019 that the episode that Emma's done. Gemma? Is it?
Emma.
Cut that one out, cut that bit out.
Yeah, I guess that is this for the week. Emma.
Yeah. Yes, where is this Emma chick who normally directs us?
Yes, where is Emma? It's definitely, we are a male-orientated episode this week, because Gemma, or Emma, is, as Andy said, is working very hard to get things ready for you, the lovely listener, in relation to our Halloween episode.
Which hopefully was spectacular enough for you to be rolling around on the floor laughing.
Or so scared that you've locked yourself in a room.
Yeah.
While I try and recover my voice.
Yeah. So you can see, obviously, James wasn't prepared. He didn't do his normal vocal warm-up exercises.
La 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 la.
Oh. Ay.
Me.
It's all about me.
It's all about me. So, Andy, how are you? How's your week been, my friend?
It hasn't been too bad. Obviously, work is just work. But otherwise, everything is tickety-boo. Cats are well and alive and still have four paws each. Got me a white steed back, so pootling around back in my own car.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, life is peachy. I'm just waiting for the rain cloud to come and settle back over my head, and then business as usual.
Yeah, and quite literally, it probably will be physical rain, because one of the problems I had is the fact that I was supposed to be attending a Comic-Con, the London Comic-Con, with Gemma and other people. But in the case for me, I couldn't go because there had been an issue with some intrusion on the track, which means some poor person fell onto the track, and extremely bad weather. So everything got cancelled, so I couldn't actually get anywhere. But, these things happen.
Yeah, and did you manage to salvage your weekend? Because obviously you planned to spend it with our glorious co-host and couldn't.
Clearly I couldn't top a Comic-Con, but I had a pretty good weekend. I caught up with people, caught up with family and friends, ate far more than I should have done, but had a really good weekend, despite the really heavy rain and insanely wacky weather we've been having. But, it is autumn.
It is autumn, yes, and it was just perfect, well, for us in South, it was perfectly timed that after the clocks went back, it was just bitterly cold.
Yeah, same here. But in North, we had constant rain for several days, and then by the end of the week, it's going to be raining again.
Yeah. But at least you live on the hill and you won't get flooded.
That's true, because you have seen pictures where there's been incredibly high levels of flooding, and, well, it ain't good. And the scariest thing on the weather warning is when you were looking at sort of Wales, and it didn't even sort of give... On the other warnings, it said, could be risk of damage to business, could be flooding. Wales just said, impending flooding and impending damage to properties. There wasn't even sort of the possibility that it might not happen.
Yeah, go see Noah, try and get on Ark.
Yeah, get one of each animal, because you're not going to find two in this weather.
Is Tewkesbury underwater, or is Tewkesbury surrounded and is an island and cut off? I can't remember from the headlines.
Do you know what? I don't know. But I know it. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. But it's a damn shame, because there were people obviously really looking forward to going out to the convention who we were going with, and they couldn't make it. But, it happens. It's better. My worst fear, and I think the worst fear for a lot of people, was you'd go all the way down on the train, you'd fight, because it wouldn't have been an easy journey, and then you'd be stranded in London, unable to get back on a train.
Paying London prices for accommodation and food.
And if you're not prepared or able to do that, you're a bit screwed, really.
Yeah.
But, to the credit, Virgin and the London train service have given me all my money back, so I'm happy about that one.
They try and fob you off with, but you could travel on another day. Why don't you keep your ticket?
Didn't even raise the question.
Oh, that's good.
Simply just, do you want a refund? Yes, please. Done.
Oh, that's good, because I know sometimes companies are reluctant to hand back your money. They would rather give you a credit note or an open ticket, so you can travel at your leisure. No,
Virgin were really, really good. No questions asked. Straight away gave me the money. Amazingly, I went to the train station today because I thought there'd be no way I'd get the money back for my, day travel ticket for London. No questions again.
Oh, excellent.
I explained it to them a little bit at the start. They just went, nope, full refund. There you go.
Yeah. Now piss off. I've got other people to moan at.
Yeah. Anyway, so my question was going to be, Andy, you've discussed the good things that have happened this week. You've got your car back. Your cats are all well. Have you got any codswallop for us this week?
I think I might have had, but I've just mellowed out since it happened. I mean, my journey to and from the office is still gut-wrenchingly painful. It makes me chew my steering wheel on most days.
And what's really getting to you on that aspect of the journey then?
It's just people just in a desperate hurry to get to where they want to get to, and they just try and just push you over the limit, the speed limit. Yeah. Now, where there are no speed cameras, I might feel inclined just to put my foot down, just to get out of your way so you can get onto your very important appointment. But when there's average speed cameras, fuck off. I'm staying at 50.
Yeah, definitely. I agree on that.
And you can come zipping up to my arse as quickly as you like. You can flash me in the mirrors. You can pull right up to my arse. I don't give a fuck. I'm staying at 50. When I can move in, I will move in. And I had it today where 60 on the M25 with the variable speed limit, and this Audi Q7 just come hooning it down on the outside, and then just jammed on the brakes and then just popped into my braking gap between me and the car in front, and then was so aggressive getting onto the M4 that he got himself kind of trapped into the first lane so you can get into the second lane. Meanwhile, I was able to just get from the first to the second with ease. And then he tries again, and he nearly had the same accident that I just had last month with him, and I was thankfully I was able to nip out into the third lane because I couldn't put my anchors on because there was another twat coming hooning up behind me. So, it's just like there's absolutely no fucking need for it.
No, there isn't. Out of interest, have you ever found there is a specific vehicle that's driven?
No. But there is a particular driving style.
Yeah.
Two particular driving styles of the driver's position.
Okay, go on. I'm intrigued. Tell me.
So if I look in my rearview mirror and I see the hands at
5-1 and the driver's shoulders are forward, then I know I've got someone who's impatient.
Yeah.
If I'm just sat there at the speed limit, unable to move over, and he's got one arm on the windowsill, the other one at 12 o'clock, and his head is trying to look around the side of my car, I know I've got another. I say he, it can be a she as well. I know I've got another impatient driver. It's always, when I look back, I tend to see those two driving styles.
See, that's an interesting thing when you say about hand positioning, because I'm thinking about my own driving style. And probably, for me, I am unfortunately probably around the 5-1 driving style.
Yeah. Whereas my thumbs are sat at 2:45. And I'm
interesting.
I've got my hand behind. Like I touch the flappy paddles like I use them, but I don't. But I typically just have my thumbs and my hands wrapped around. I'm not clenching the steering. I tend to sit fairly upright. I don't lean back. But yeah, just...
So yeah. You'd hate my driving styling, so I lean back, one hand on the wheel.
Yeah.
No pain at all. Wait for people to get out my way as I'm going down the motorway.
Yeah, in your white T-shirt with your gold chain on the outside.
Not quite on the clothing, but...
Yeah. It's chewing gum with your banging tones.
See, the thing that I find interesting is that when you're saying about, like that style of driving, I do know what you mean. Invariably, unfortunately, because we both drive Audis, we fall into the angry Audi driver classification. Although, I think we're pretty better behaved than most. You certainly sound better behaved than most. I, unfortunately, do have that element where I want to get to places very quickly sometimes. Certainly on the motorway, I want to keep going at a constant speed, and I want people to get out of my way. So I do have that problem. But that said, I do try and be courteous and thank people when they, let me out and move and things. So
I used to be like that up until I moved overseas and gave up driving. I'm the sort of driver that I used to be that, yes, I would come kind of hooning up behind you, but I would like to think I could give you a nice, comfortable feeling that I'm not trying to push you down the road. But as soon as you pulled over into the other lane, I was dropping down the gears, redlining it past you and hoofing it along. But then, I had a fuel card as well. So whilst I was paying for my fuel in my tax the next year, it wasn't coming out of my pocket. So, it was kind of like free fuel.
Yeah.
And I was in a diesel. But now I'm in a petrol car and I'm paying at the pump. I'm a little bit more cognizant of my right foot. And I joke and say that I sweat when the revs go over 2,000. Because I can see it. If I go above 2,000, my MPG just immediately drops by 1.
Yeah.
And it just keeps dropping by 1, dropping by 1, dropping by 1. I'm really happy if I can get to work and I'm above 50. I'm really chuffed when I get 59. I've seen 60 on my journey a couple of times. So 60 miles per gallon MPG. But I know if I hooned it, I'll be doing 32 miles to the gallon, so I'll be ripping through the tank every 350 miles rather than every 500 miles.
I hate to say it, Andy, but you are playing what sounds like the most middle-aged game ever.
Yeah.
Trying to keep the fuel economy going.
I know, but sometimes there's been a few occasions where I've just blipped it from dynamic into sport. And I've just speed limiter onto the speed limit and I've just hooned it around. But then I quickly put it back into dynamic mode and settle on in cruise control. But it's nice to have that power when you need it to scoot past people or to quickly get out of a junction.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, that's the big thing that I like in my car when I've got it, is that, you need to move quickly out of the situation. You will move. It's great on eating up the mileage and it's comfortable.
One other thing, just to try and justify the fact that I'm not an old man just yet.
Okay, go on. I believe you.
It's also a lot of the journeys that I do, the amount of times that I can actually put my foot down is kind of limited. I could only get half a mile down the road before I've got to back off or put the anchors on. So actually to get a nice smooth run and try and get it to the red line for every gear, I just can't get the space on the roads to do it and have enough time to...
True.
Okay, I can see you. You're 2 miles ahead of me. I will need to start thinking about braking now, Or, you can think, right, are you going to come out into my lane? Okay, when are you coming out? And it's just... I find it very exhausting, actually, because that's that increased level of concentration on being aware of what's going on further down the road that's going to impede you, as well as what is that twat 200 metres away from you going to do.
I think one thing that I found, because obviously we discussed the element of the really bad rain, and the way the weather's been, is that you will get, certainly on motorways, you have two types of driver in bad weather. You have the people who drive like it's still dry and a wonderful sunny day and there are no issues, so they're doing about 90 miles an hour down the motorway, who are going to, if they're not careful, going to aquaplane it somewhere and end up eating concrete in a wall.
Yeah, and hopefully not you in the process of trying to get to the wall.
Absolutely. Or you have the people who drive slowly, horrendously slowly, terrifyingly slowly, who probably could actually be more dangerous than the people driving too fast, because you'll be going along at speed and suddenly you're greeted by somebody doing like 40.
Yeah.
Terrified, clearly. When you finally get past them, they're gripping the steering wheel like there's no, for dear life.
Look of abject horror on their face.
Yeah. Which I can get, because, driving in horrendous weather is not always the most fun you can have, but,
It's driving to the conditions, and also, it's you may well be in a Porsche GTS, and, you may well have ceramic brakes. But, is that really going to help you when you're, say, aquaplaning, or you hit a bit of oil on a wet surface?
Yeah.
I do sometimes wonder when people sit on my backside, if it would make any difference if I had a little sticker on the back of my car that says, how good are my brakes?
Yeah, my brakes don't work.
Yeah, how old are my brakes? It's just like, you don't know how good my brakes are. So, am I going to be stopping on a dime because I'm running a set of ECB street racing brakes? Or have I got the manufacturer ones and I've absolutely shagged them, and it's going to take me forever and a day to get to a grinding halt?
Yeah.
That's one of these things. And my old car, I used to have the ECB greens, the street racing brakes, just again because I was driving like a hooligan.
And I bet that made a real difference. I mean, I'm asking, with no real knowledge, what was the level of difference that you would feel?
Noticeable, very noticeable. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, it was to the point where you could probably leave it a good sort of 10, 15 meters before you started braking, depending on what speeds you were doing. And then when you coupled that up with directional tires, which is what I had, summer directional tires on, grip was just, you were saying the other day, when you put your foot down in the A4 Estate you had.
Yeah.
Just that bite and that propulsion forward, and, when you put your foot on the brake, you felt the front dip as you put your foot on the brakes.
You did, and what you also felt, certainly in that, just to explain, listeners, because we're now on the car corner portion of Talking Codswallop, I've had an ongoing issue, if you listen back to the previous episodes, with repair work to my Audi A6. Unfortunately, it's still ongoing, after some person ran to the back of it. So this is still an ongoing process. However, they were very nice to me at Audi, and they gave me a 68 plate, wonderful S-Line Black Edition Audi A4 Quattro. It moved like off a shovel, and but Andy and I both discussed this, the fact that also it had like an amazing grip, but you felt a real kick of the power with the Quattro, which you would not feel normally in cars that are a two-wheel drive system.
It's an amazing feeling. Just one last thing from me on Driving Like a Hooligan, on things that I miss. Mm-hmm. I'm going to drive like a hooligan tomorrow now. I've always had manual.
Yeah, I want an update on that.
Unfortunately, I'm in an automatic that's born out of a nanny state, so what I used to do in a manual I probably can't do anymore, because it will say no, the revs are too high.
Yep.
But
or I'll just lock up.
I used to love country road driving, and when you're coming up to a set of bends, just taking your foot off the accelerator, having that torque slow you down, and then just dropping it through the gears to get the stability, to get the revs back up and get that stability, but also at the same time having that engine torque just bring you back down. It's a lovely feeling, and you'd always sort of sigh when you came up behind Mercedes, where it goes off like shit off a stick, but it's a fucking automatic, so they can't engine brake. They've got to hit the brakes as they go into a corner, unless they've got super duper suspension, whereas you're just going from 6th to 5th to 4th maybe, and then quickly back up to 5th as you apex, and off out you go.
I know exactly what you mean. I mean, the only thing that I found, I have driven both automatics and manuals, and the automatic the Quattro they gave me was an automatic. The only thing I didn't like on it was that second of lag you get when you plant your foot down. It's not that bad. You know, it was worse in the 5 when I drove an M5. The lag on that was really noticeable. You put your foot down and it then just suddenly burst forward after a few seconds, whereas the Audi Quattro is a bit quicker. Yeah.
Still noticeable.
You don't have the element of control that you have when you're doing it yourself.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, all these things are good.
So, I mean, if I wasn't such a tightwad, I would certainly splash out on a track day and drive a proper track car and just do all that proper apexing and downshifting and braking late. Yeah. I can't justify 250 quid for half an hour in a sports car.
And to be fair, one thing I do sort of miss is real handbrakes, as nothing has a real handbrake anymore, so you can't, for example, not that I'm condoning on saying I ever did this, but you can't, for example, do a fun handbrake turn. You can't suddenly pull the handbrake to come to a halt very quickly, because everything is just electronic now, and if you tried that, you'd probably just cause the engine to seize or something.
Yeah. Do you know, I never mastered the handbrake turn. I never hung around in a group where we did it. And there was never really any car park suitable to do it without trashing your wheels up against the curb.
Well, we you know, now I can say this with some distance to it, but yeah, we did the handbrake turns. Quite a few, me and my friends who were into driving would do that. And yeah, they were okay. And I was pretty good at doing them, but yeah. They're not something you can do all the time, but yeah. And I think it is pretty much impossible, isn't it, in a car with an electric handbrake to do anything fun like that. And the problem you have with the electric system is that when it brakes, it really buggers everything up. So
yes, sadly, cars have become wonderfully convenient, but wonderfully expensive when they go wrong.
Yeah, anyway, enough of middle-aged man's car corner.
That's it. So have you got any codswallop for this week?
The only codswallop I have probably does, in fact, it is still car related, is the fact that, in fact, no, we're not going to name and shame any people, but all we're going to say is this. If you are in a service industry and you say you will do something for somebody, and the person, your customer, asks you repeatedly, can you please do something, as simple as sending me an email to tell me what's going on with something, just do it. I understand you're busy, but I don't want to have to ask you 5 times on 5 different calls for an update. I understand you're very apologetic and you sort the situation out, which, touch wood, they've done, but you shouldn't have to be saying, can you please send me an email to confirm it?
Yeah.
And the person says, yes, I will send you an email, it's fine. 2 days later, nothing. 3 days later, nothing. More calls upon calls. All you want to see as a customer, or as somebody even running a business, all you want to see is a proper chain of communication that actually works and doesn't leave the company and the customer completely lost as to what is going on.
Yeah, just basic service. That's all we ask for. And this isn't a codswallop per se of the service, but of other people's expectation of service. So what you've given is a really good example of like good expectation, poor service.
Yeah.
I did a click and collect order from PC World yesterday, Curry's PC. And I rocked up with my receipt, and bless him, there was one guy on the tills, and the guy running the click and collect was in the middle of trying to sort out a refund or another customer's issue. So he said to me, I'll be with you in a moment. I said, yeah, no worries. So I loitered within 10, and I remembered I needed the toilet. So I said, have you got a customer toilet? He said, yeah, at the back. So off I went, trotted off, did my business, came back, and I found 2 other humans who had now occupied what was an empty space. Yeah. So I just went, okay, no worries. You know, that's the twat tax you pay for needing to empty your bladder, at middle age. And the guy in front of me was getting a bit tetchy, He'd only been there for about a minute. And then probably another 5 minutes, and he got really arsey with the guy behind the counter going, can you get someone out here to serve? And it's like, everyone's busy. He's like, this isn't good enough. I said, I'll just, when he looked at me for support, I said, unfortunately, you've been sat here, but I was actually before you. I just gone to the toilet and I came back to find you 2 standing there. So, don't ask me for my opinion, but, it's a Monday night. No, yeah, it was Monday night on a trading estate. next to the M4, they're not going to be staffed up for a Saturday shopping.
No, they're not.
No one ever goes in there. So don't expect them to look around you. You know, the store's not busy, so they're not going to have 15 people to one person. You know, but it was that expectation that he will be in and out just like that. No, you go in midweek of an evening. You know that the retail industry is on its knees.
Yeah, true.
You know everything's expensive. So from a store's perspective, they need to keep their labour costs down, and that means having fuck all staff on. So that's enough of my sermon from the mount on people's expectations.
But I think the interesting thing that we're here on is that dealing with, even if you're getting bad customer service, where I've had this problem, it's not been the end of the world. So it's not awful service. No one's going to die. Nothing's going to go horribly wrong. You can tell people you touch you, who you're dealing with in the service industry, but the problem you've got is you've got to remember to try and be nice to the people.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in an unkind manner, like, oh yeah, you should be shitty with them. You've got to remember to be nice. What I mean is, I always try and be nice to the people, because I learned certainly in my job in housing, screaming, shouting, threatening will get you absolutely nowhere. All it does is get the person's back up and they're less likely to help you. So if you try and keep your jets cool, even if you are having a bad time, and just be courteous. These people are human beings, and frankly, they've had to deal with customer after customer after customer after customer. I always think people should try and bear that in mind. What do they say? You catch more flies with honey than with vinegar?
Yeah. And, you know, we've got to remember these guys don't get paid to give a shit.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, they're on minimum wage. So their main concern is getting through their shift and hoping that they don't have as many customers like you in their face, yelling at them at things they can't control.
Yeah.
But I always joke and laugh because my first job was with McDonald's. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I always say to people, if you can deal with someone screaming at you over a 59p hamburger, you can deal with anything.
Oh, come on, tell us the story.
I've only lost my rag with a customer once.
Yeah.
And it was a busy bank holiday weekend, and the store I worked in was a small drive-through next to an A road, so that's like a dual carriageway.
Yeah.
And you know, we just did not anticipate the volume of sales. So, you know, we were very kind of like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know, so we're all doing our best.
What do we do? Don't panic. Yeah, don't panic.
Well, it wasn't more that. It was like, just fuck me. Where did these come from? Right. Get the chicken in. You know, get the chicken down. Let's make sure we've got enough food. You know, everyone just go.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the drive-through window, and I think it was probably like it was a chicken sandwich. You know, we'd run out of chicken patties, so they were just, you know, cooking up some fresh batch of chicken.
Yeah.
So I said, look, you know, unfortunately it's going to be in about 3-4 minutes for your chicken sandwich. You know, if you want to go to parking bay 1, we'll bring it straight out to you as soon as it's ready. Oh, that's not good enough. Oh, well, I've been fucking waiting for fucking ages. Rah, 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 rah. Unfortunately, you know, it's still going to be 3 or 4 minutes. So, you know, if you just want to go to the parking bay, it's going to be 3 or 4 minutes here, or it's going to be 3 or 4 minutes there. But, you know, unfortunately, I need you to go to the parking bay. That's not good enough. Ah! So I said, well, what I can do for you is I can give you a refund. And if you just want to exit the car park and go into the BP garage, they do chicken there. How's about that? Or do you want to go in the parking bay and wait for 3 minutes? And he drove off, and I immediately turned on my heel, walked over to the manager's office, shut the door, said to the manager, you might want to give me a warning, because I imagine in the next couple of minutes you're going to have a very irate customer. And I fessed up to it. But I shouldn't have reacted like that, but it was just one of these self-entitled people who just paid £2.88, as it was back in the day, for a chicken sandwich. And he can't wait 4 or 5 minutes. Get the fuck.
And did you get a complaint coming?
Yeah.
But I'd say you did the right thing, though, by going and telling your manager that things could potentially go right. I used to sometimes do that when I was dealing with people who were unjustly irate with me over things. We once had an instance with a lady who was complaining about me over, it was something to do with her mother. The entire argument, really, if you dissected it, was this woman was feeling guilty because she'd not given enough time to helping her mother, but she wanted to hold the housing organisation responsible for this and the failings. And I remember saying to my manager when I came back in, I said, I'm going to forewarn you, the daughter's pissed off with me. She won't back down. You're going to get a complaint. But I've been as good as I can with her and kept my jets cool. And, as you said, as I was saying, you do the right thing, I think, by giving your manager forewarning. This sort of thing's going to happen.
I mean, my manager just laughed at me, said, "You're such a twat," and then just gave me my written warning.
Yeah.
I took it on the chin, and that's, shouldn't reacted, should have gone, "Yes, sir. No, sir.
Yeah.
3 bags full, sir. The parking bay's over there, sir."
Bend over.
Yeah, that's it. Would sir like lube or without lube, sir?
Yeah. What would please you best, sir?
But I just buy into common decency.
Yeah, and that's the thing that you're thinking, common decency. So, in relation to what we've just discussed, an interesting one. I'd love to hear from listeners. What is the absolute worst service you've ever received when going into McDonald's?
Yeah, and was it by some spotty youth telling you to go to the BP garage? Because if it was you, fuck off. I'll see you next Tuesday.
In the car park, late at night.
Yeah, that's it. But I'll be wearing my McDonald's apron with my hat on back to front.
And as a weapon of choice, you're going to use the straw, but the problem you've now got is it's paper straws.
That's it, but I'm imagine I can still blow the wrapper off with some gusto.
Yeah, there's not enough stabby power with the paper straw, though.
No, not at all. So have we got any other topics to discuss this week? I think you had a topic.
Yeah, an interesting topic that was raised that went out to our sweet, gentle, kind listeners relates to the dating world. Now, as a single man, I'm quite open to any advice that can help me navigate the dating world. Now, the question we ask our listeners is, as I will get the thing to show me, what is the etiquette for first dates? So first dates, many dates in general, or when you're out with your friends. Now, our big question in this is, should you split the bill, or should one person pay for it all? And we also asked, for example, if it's a date, should the chair be pulled out by the, in this case, we'll say the man, but it can be a woman, could be anything, could be somebody who identifies as non-gender, non-binary, whatever.
Could the alpha of the partnership pull out the chair?
The alpha person of that relationship, correct.
Yeah.
No genders. So we asked that question, but what I'm going to do is actually initially throw it out and say to you, Andy, what's your view on this as my co-host?
So on a date, I will probably just assume that I'm paying.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not every single date, but maybe the first date, and then maybe the second date, I'll let them offer to pay or go splits. And if not, I'll pick up the tab to a point, and then they'll get to a point where I'll go like, okay, should we meet at KFC?
Yeah, not McDonald's, because they don't let me there anymore.
That's it. Yeah, I'm banned as ex-crew member. But no, generally I'm more of a old school gentleman from that perspective. But I don't act in horror when I'm told no, it's okay, I'll pay, or no, let's split it. Either pains me when people do this, when they go, right, well I had the poppadoms, but I only had one and you had 3. We had onion bhajis. I had all of them. We shared a pilau rice, and I had a chicken tikka masala and an naan.
Let's get.
And I had a glass of tap water.
Let's get out the calculator.
Yeah, or we could just go 50-50 down the middle. It's up to you, because I pretty much had the same with you, but I maybe spent £1 extra and had a Coke.
A Coke? How dare you?
Yeah. So, on the dating, I tend to take the lead and then just react to how the other person wants to deal with the situation.
Mm-hmm.
If a waiter came up to me at the start of the meal, and said, okay, here's the menus. Now, can I just ask, will you be splitting the bill? Do you want it itemized, or use one person paying? I would just feel really uncomfortable and just look at the person opposite me. What do you want to do? But when I'm with friends, I think it's pretty much divide the bill by the number of people.
Yeah. I can
but there's kind of
that.
caveats to that, because if someone has just come out and, they're on antibiotics, or they've chosen not to drink, or, there's a reason why everyone else is on alcohol, but they're on soft drinks, or they've already had a meal, so they've only had a starter or a dessert, then I wouldn't expect them to contribute an equal share. You can just pay what you want, and we'll divide the rest by the rest of the table. Again, I don't like people sort of itemizing their bills. but I certainly wouldn't let one person pick up the tab for the entire table unless it was pre-agreed or, there was a reason, good reason for them doing so. Because I would do, sometimes if it's just two of us going out for a meal, I might get asked my treat.
Mm-hmm.
Just go, look at the bill and go, right, 25 quid each, whatever. Down the middle, we go.
I mean,
what about you?
Well, to be fair, what you have said is that we, on that discussion, we have very similar points to the way we do things, Andy. I will generally on a date pay, the bill, unless the person stringently says to me they want to, the girl stringently says to me she wants to split the bill, I will pay the bill. The etiquette thing is also very interesting. The etiquette thing was actually a question I sort of threw at myself, which was, I will open car doors, I'll move chairs, to let the lady sit down, that sort of interesting, sort of old school way of doing things. But while you were saying the same thing, I had an interesting thought, which was, so you and I are taking, you take a lady out, I take a lady out. We take the gentlemanly route of doors, chairs, etc. Is that something that is still good now, or is that something that's frowned upon? And because I wonder, because obviously we seem to be. Could it be perceived that you're belittling a lady doing that?
I think you've got to know the person doing it to. So I don't do the chair thing.
Right.
I don't think I've ever done that. I thought for me, I'm a bit awkward at doing stuff like that. But I'll certainly, I won't take a seat until they've chosen which side of the table they want to sit on. Occasionally I'll remember that perhaps I should hold the jacket so they can get into it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I forget to do, but holding the door open, offering to pay the bill or assuming I'm going to pay the bill is natural. Other things are a bit awkward. But I think if you know already that you're dating a strong, independent woman, I probably wouldn't be as chivalrous as maybe I would be with, I'll say princess, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but, someone who wouldn't say wants to be on a pedestal, but, likes that kind of treat, then I couldn't do it all the time, and I certainly would not set the expectation that if we are dating in the long term, this is it for 40 years.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out that they're all strong, independent women.
Yeah, but there are.
But I understand. No,
slightly off topic, but there was an episode of Freakonomics that was on at the weekend, and it was all about how improving gender equality can fix a number of not just society problems, but economic problems and productivity, blah, 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 blah. But they were talking about the Disney princess syndrome.
Yes.
And if for the first 4 years girls are subjected to the Disney princess and watching Disney and being treated like a princess and, having everything pink and sparkly and wonderful and unicorns, then that tends to carry through for the rest of their lives.
So it's presenting them with, maybe unrealistic expectations? Or this idea that they have to, and I suspect that, and also this idea they have to conform to a gender stereotype, yeah?
It's that it's the Disney, I'm not a big Disney watcher, so for the Disney fans, feel free to bombard me on Instagram with abuse if I get this wrong, but I think the general character construct for a Disney film, historic, when you look at Beauty and the Beast, is the woman is a helpless, pretty young thing escaping a father who's overbearing.
And they need a big, strong man, don't they, to come and save them and sweep them off the feet.
Princess.
Princess?
Who can offer them the life.
No, handsome prince.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. A big handsome prince to come to sweep them off their feet and rescue them and leave them wanting nothing from life. And if children kind of under 4 are growing up with that and still presented with that as they get through their later parts of childhood before teenage years, then that does imprint upon them that if they act a certain way, good things will happen. So I don't have to do anything. It will just come to me if I'm a sweet person.
Interesting.
Versus kind of working for it, not having that damsel in distress, heroic knight, white knight. Because I guess I'm a bit of a white knight because I've maybe been imprinted from watching the male characters and the action stuff.
Well, interestingly, on the topic of what we asked, looking at the responses we got on Facebook, we got a more male-based response than we did a female response. I can't remember if do we normally say the names of the people who've chipped in?
I think we should, yeah.
We should. We will do that. Well, we're all good. So, interesting. So, Joanne who is a loyal listener, wonderful woman, cosplayer I know, so hello, Joanne. She has put forward that people should both pay equal parts, because it's not fair on the man to pay it all, because women aren't there to be kept, which is a really valid point.
Yeah.
Really valid point, and it ties into what we were saying earlier. Interestingly, we get a male response, which is, first person is Owen. So just to explain, it's Joanna Alexander who left our comment initially. Then Owen Edmonds left the comment of, if he asks a woman out, he expects to pay. However, if she wants to go houses, that's okay.
Yep.
He also sort of has the same view as us, which is that out of common courtesy, should hold the door open, things like that for people.
Yeah.
Adrian Finney made the same point. He said doors should be held open for people as it's polite. Regarding paying for a meal, he pretty much says what we touched, and certainly what you said, which it depends on the situation. So sometimes he's paid, sometimes people have gone halves, sometimes the date's paid. So yeah, it's that sort of situation.
Yeah.
Adrian is in fact married, I think. So yeah, he obviously, has survived the dating game, and got a great result from it by getting married. But it's an interesting thing, like you were saying about, you sort of hit the nail on the head, I think, where you were saying maybe when you start out, the dynamic is slightly different on a date, and over time, as you're going out with your partner, you may start splitting things more on the way things are paid. And Bob W. Christian, man after my own heart, doors, chair pulling is all common courtesy.
Yeah.
As he was told. He's been married for quite a long time. I think he's saying that initially he would have picked up the cheque, but it's something that would now change differently. Yeah, what I love is what he said, that with friends, everything's now just chip or pin or pay on your own. So, and tills will even let you divide bills. So
what I found when we've gone out with friends is inevitably someone like me who forgets to get cash out.
Yeah.
So I'll pay the bill, and it's just either give me cash or PayPal me.
Well, yeah, I know what you mean. Although when I went out a couple of weeks back with catch up with a couple of my old friends, we ended up playing the most middle-aged game ever. Well, sorry, I'm going to name and shame. Jamie played the most middle-aged game ever, which is where he wants to try and round up the bill and work out what the bill is before he gets to see it. I just looked at him and said, this is the most middle-aged game you'll ever get to play, Jamie. What's the bill? What's the bill? Let me guess. Don't tell me.
And the loser gets to buy the cognacs at the end. So, now, what do you do when someone doesn't... So when you've gone down the route, I'll pay, just give me the cash either now or PayPal me.
But when they don't...
Is there a limit where you think, I'm not going to chase... We've been friends for too long for me to chase you up to give me the money. Do you ask for all the money's owed, irrespective of your relationships, or do you just say, do you know what, for the sake of 50 quid, I'm letting that one slide? I
will generally ask to get the money back, but if it's somebody I've known a long time, I'll let it slide. Generally, it's never a huge amount of money. But generally I will let things slide. But going back to this thing about splitting a bill, I had an amusing flashback moment. I went for dinner with my friend Elizabeth, and this thing of when you're splitting the bill, she's very insistent the bill will be split. I'll pay for her on some things, she'll pay for me on some things, we'll split the bill. But if you really want to see if you can piss a waiter off quickly, let them deliver the bill to you, and then when they've put it down and they go off and do whatever else to do, when they come back say, sorry, I don't mean to be difficult, but could we split it?
Yeah.
This guy's face, Jesus. I said to when he went off to sort it out, I think we pissed him off.
That's it. You say it when you answer the bill, go, can we get the bill, but could you split it?
Yeah, you've got to do it there and then. You've got to be quick. No delay.
That's it. So on Twitter, Jem very kindly was able to forward some stuff on to me. So the Bats and Balls podcast from New South Wales in Australia.
G'day.
The person who asked the other out should at least go in expecting they might have to pay. But I'm all for split bills where agreed. # pies nose. Mackenzie Lambert. Never do dinner on the first date. It feels like there is more pressure in that scenario. The girl I'm seeing and I met at a coffee shop and I offered to buy her a drink. It felt more laid back. But there we go. You know, there was an offer. Do you want me to get this?
Yeah. I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, and that was from Cinemac. And then from at Melissa the Duffy. I was taught by my mum that whoever's idea it was to eat out should be the one to offer to pay. However, on an early or informal date, going Dutch should be expected. Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, it's a good point.
At 077, my husband and I used to split the bill when we first started dating, then switched to taking turns, paying for meals out. We've been married for 13 years and still use that system. Exactly what we were saying there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You start out maybe one way, but you gradually slip into another.
Well, if it ain't broke...
Or you end up being at KFC.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's it. When it's new, split that motherfucker regardless of who asked who out. After a while, take turns keeping it fair. When eating out, your friends always operate by TV like only in a dark room while listening to Phil Collins, One More Night, and hope for the best. And that's from Blumpkin Show, the Ref Johnny Blumpkin.
Oh, brilliant.
You got any more from Facebook?
That's all I got, I'm afraid. Those are the only ones I got. But it's all
right. I'll continue on with some more from Twitter then, because we got a good response from this. So I think we should, say
absolutely
the ones we got in. So at Heavy 10 millimeter. Any man who balks at paying for his date's meal is no longer eligible for the perks of manhood. Any woman who won't allow her date to pay is unworthy of taking home to mom. Unless you're a lib, in which case get together until you fight over custody of the dogs in the divorce. To which Bring On the Weird replied with, get on them, Heavy. I agree with everything you said. The Boobies and Newbies podcast, it's all about communicating, whether you split the bill or not. I'm a fan of splitting, or I'll get dinner, you get the movie. Seriously, people, just talk about it with your date.
Very true.
Yeah, and Friends Talking Nerdy podcast replied with, that's what I've been doing wrong. At Super Hour, to be honest, my last round of online dating, I'd offer to pay split on dates. I enjoyed dates with people who turned out to be casually racist, though they paid for my suffering. fair play. It's wrong, but I do love that phrase, casually racist.
Yeah, casually racist, definitely.
It sounds just like your gran or your grandpa talking, doesn't it?
Just like they dip the toe into racism.
Bit of casual racism. Yeah. Like, oh, grandpa, you can't say that anymore. At Bitchin' Boutique, hopefully I said that right.
I'm liking this. That as a name is brilliant.
Yeah, so it's been a long time since I've had a first date. But when I was a single woman in my 20s, it was so rare that a guy paid for my dinner or even did the driving to the restaurant. So I'm going to say, you want to take me out, you pay for it. And that's the last bit's all in caps.
Ooh, well, I think there's a message there.
Yeah. Oh, put that one back in the box. Yeah. Back away gently.
Yep.
Yeah. At Popcorn Psychology, got a nice little pick on this one. So, men before date. What if she doesn't offer to pay half the bill? Woman before a date. Asterisk. Sends location of date. Picture and description of man to several friends just in case we go missing due to date and they need to find our bodies. And finally, from our good friend Robin _Maloney. Me and my other half split the bill most of the time, though sometimes someone would just pay if they can. Although there was a slight typo on that, and I nearly read that as verbatim, which was me and Mel, other half. So I don't know if Melanie is actually your other half, or whether that was a typo, but I'm going to go for me and my other half.
Yeah, and if it's like a Freudian slip,
yeah,
we apologize.
Me and me.
Yeah.
Me. Oh,
I was more worried.
So, yeah, no.
I was more worried. I'd be thinking, is Mel a secret partner?
Yeah. Something that Sandra, his actual partner, if that's her name, doesn't even know about.
We will hold no responsibility for any marital issues through listening to this podcast.
So, but what triggered that was me doing my normal Google News trawl of things to read to keep up to date with current affairs.
Yeah.
I came across this article from the Edinburgh Post where the headline was proudly emblazoned with restaurants offering to split bills for daters. And I was like, okay, but why is that a thing?
Yeah, I was
Surely
thinking
that's just something you do. You don't need to announce it to the world. So that's what triggered that question. I think we got a great response from our listeners.
I think we got a brilliant response. It was an interesting topic to actually think about and see, think about it from your own point of view, but see the response from people. Yeah, Really, really interesting one.
It's also a good pulse check to see how in sync you are with society. So it looks like a lot of our listeners are attuned to our way of thinking.
Yeah, we all think there seems to be very much a common thread on the way people have responded to it. So it's always nice to know. We're not completely out of touch. I am single, but I'm not completely out of touch.
That's it. When we both dip our toes back into the dating pool, you know, we should do all right for ourselves. But I think you raised a good point earlier when you said, in today's day and age where you do have to be cognizant of gender equality and, that actually, women aren't fragile creatures and they are more than capable of getting into a chair by themselves, getting into a car by themselves and all the other things it is that balancing act, because some people do want to be treated like that.
They do.
They do want that chivalry, maybe not for every single day, but maybe for the first day on special occasions, I think some people do generally like that and other people don't. And I don't know. I thought it's that awkwardness of when someone goes, it's okay, I can do it.
Yeah, but certainly on a first day when you've probably not been able to, you won't know the person that well. You won't be able to read the person possibly that well. Unless you've known them for a long time and this is the first time you've actually gone on a date. Yeah. It's a hard one to work out. And you are right, you don't want to offend some lady or man or whoever by doing something like that. So, one to think about.
It's one of those things, I think, also is how you handle that situation. So if you don't like someone doing that for you, I think sometimes when you get people snapping, the delivery of that message is really beholden upon the person who needs to send that message. Yeah. And they need to read the situation and, think, okay, how can I say this without offending them? And it's not about pride. It's more about embarrassment, about being embarrassed about your actions and whether or not there's going to be any awkward silence. Because someone said to me, it's all right, I can't have my old doors open. I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that includes when you've got your arms full. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's one of these things, it's dating anyway and meeting new people, whether it's for professional reasons or personal reasons, you don't know someone very well. It can be quite an anxious situation, I think, for a lot of people about in the new world order, how do you treat people and how do you interact? I think a lot of people do well with just being themselves and not overthinking it.
You gave me an interesting flashback then when you talk about sort of offering to help people and things like that and how they respond, because I saw a lady who was, I think, nearest to where I live. Her and her husband and kid have moved into a new house, but she was on her own she was carrying stuff from the car, and I said to her, do you need any help with the gate? And for a moment, there was this look of blind panic on her face, which I can understand, because I'm some unknown male offering to assist. But she's like, no, I'll be fine, and let herself in. But you are right, it's that moment of trying to be, I guess, what we perceive as gentlemanly, and how people will react to that. It's also this thing, just as a side note, of how people perceive people they don't know just saying hello to them. Yeah. Because some people are very okay with it, some people are absolutely picking terrified by it, so who knows?
And backhanded compliments, people genuinely want to give a compliment, it ends up being a backhanded compliment and it just falls flat on its face. And I think that happens more often than not to women.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's why the defences go up, and it's shocking. I mean, it's why I don't talk to anyone. I don't just go bowling up, men or women. I don't just go bowling up to them. All right, hello. My name's Andy.
Will you be my friend?
Do you come here often?
Yeah. Will you be my friend, please? Please.
Yeah, they're not talking to me, and I need to talk to someone.
I'll show you pictures of my cats.
Yeah. Look, this is Levi asleep. This is Lacey asleep.
They don't know I'm taking pictures of them.
When they do, they scowl at me. Look, like this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. Oh, this one, no, they're asleep, but they're still scowling.
Let me show you the scar where they drew blood.
But yeah, social interaction is a minefield.
It is, completely. It's scary. And one thing that I read in the paper, which there may be more to it, but this is all that's been reported in the paper. There was a lad, I think he was about 19, maybe younger.
Yeah.
And he was obviously, I think he must have had social anxiety issues. and he'd Googled how to make a friend.
Oh, bless him, yes.
And
I say bless him,
yeah.
but yeah.
And I think by the sound of it, you've heard about this one.
Yeah.
And he'd gone to some girl, and I think he'd put his hand on her hand or a wrist, possibly touched her on the waist, and he's now been hit with sexual. Well, he's been charged as like a. Well, he's been charged, hasn't he? Now, so I think he's been.
Has he been sentenced?
I believe
because
so.
When I was reading it, the case was ongoing, and I just read the details, and I was a little bit like, "What the actual fuck?" On both sides, on both arguments.
Yeah. It's sexual assault, I think, yeah. See, the thing that throws me is there more to it than we know that's been reported?
This is it. So the way that I read it was he was socially awkward.
Yeah.
He Googled how to make friends. He then tried to interact with this girl and awkwardly, I think he touched her on the upper arm and made her think he was going for her breasts.
Yeah.
And then he kind of just sort of yanked away and walked off. But depending on whose story you listen to and believe, it's a completely, it spins your view. So for him,
totally, yeah,
he's socially awkward. He was plucking up the courage to try and make a new friend and just absolutely nosedived into the ground and just froze up. From her perspective, this stranger has just come lurching toward her, looking completely...
And grabbed her.
And gone to grab her. So, it's he said, she said,
It's very difficult. And the problem, what really terrifies me on this, and I'm not taking sides on it, is how are people going to interact with people? What the hell is the future going to be like?
Yeah, because I go to the extreme where I think that is a valid reaction that she's had. If how she said what happened is true, and his side is true, her reaction is totally valid. I could be that boy. It just in any situation where I've meant to do one thing, it's been translated as something completely different. And it becomes then a he said, she said from a point of view.
Yeah.
There are some things where clearly that he said, she said doesn't exist, but, in cases of sexual assault and genuine, I hate saying genuine sexual assault, but I think listeners know what I mean. They're on the scale. So it does make me overthink and think, well, actually, I don't know you and I don't know what your personality is. So I'm just going to be quiet and not say anything. I'm not going to acknowledge you unless I have to,
Indeed. It's a very complex one.
Yeah. Now, there was something I read that gave me pause for thought. And my initial reaction to it was, oh, fucking shut up. Stop overreacting. But when I sat and thought about it, I thought, well, unfortunately, what you're saying, what you're asking is an unfortunate thing that I should really take into consideration. So what she was saying, it was one of these, I think what put my back up more was that kind of social media patronizing.
Yeah.
So it was men. When you see a woman walking by herself cross the road, is that kind of pointy finger, patronizing kind of spiel. But basically what she was saying over a number of fucking tweets, it was one of those one of N jobs, we had to keep going through the replies.
Yeah.
But she was basically saying, because women are typically the main victim of muggings and sexual assaults and unwanted attention.
Yeah.
When men walking by themselves or in a group see another woman walking on her own, they should take a number of actions. Don't acknowledge her. Don't talk to her. Don't make eye contact with her. Cross the road to make it obvious that you are getting out of her way. And the basic context of what she was saying was, do absolutely everything in your power to go out of your way to make this one individual feel safe. And I was like, get what you're saying, but do I? Should I?
Yeah.
Why do I have to do that? It was one of those kind of where you wanted to sort of reply with hashtag not all men.
Yeah.
But that's not an appropriate response. But it did sort of initially generate that kind of reaction. But then, I sat there and thought about it and thought, raises some very good, valid points there. Is that something I'm going to do? I think I'm going to depend on the situation.
Yeah.
I'm in.
And I think
where am I? What's going on around me? What am I wearing? And out of common courtesy, I will move out of their way, I will make the gap between us slightly bigger. I'm not going to hold my line.
Yeah.
Would I necessarily cross the street? Probably not.
And I think
if she's going down a dark alley and I need to go down that dark alley, am I going to immediately follow her in?
Yeah.
Probably not. I might try and overtake her at the earliest opportunity and get further ahead. It's a situation, but it was that kind of lecturing. Sorry.
No, you are. I can think exactly what you mean, because I've been there when I've been walking around people, and I've got to think, I'm a man, I'm big, I've noted the look of, with a woman where she's probably thinking, God, am I safe? This guy's behind me, it's dark, he's walking along. Yeah, I try and give them a wide berth so I'm not scaring people. The concern I have throughout all of this, and it's the thing that I sort of mentioned again earlier, so I'll reiterate it, is for the future, and the way things are, how are people going to be able to, communicate with each other? And certainly if it's people who are, have issues with, say, social anxiety and issues with interacting with people, it's just going to get so difficult for them. So difficult, because people will always be second guessing. Can I do this? Can I do that? Will I offend somebody? Will there be a repercussion?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking any genders, I'm talking in general. It's going to be a real worry for me.
And is there any unintended consequences?
Yeah.
Because if you are expected to always go out of your way to avoid someone, you're not conditioning them to all experiences.
Yes.
Because you need to understand that not everyone is the same. You could quite easily be mugged and sexually assaulted by a member of the same sex.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, it's not an equal probability, but the probability is there nevertheless, and it is a numbers game. I can draw back to a childhood experience where I was mugged with a screwdriver by a particular section of society, and I could quite easily have taken that experience and said, if I come across another person who dresses like that group that mugged me, that visibly looks like the same as the group that attacked me, speaks like the group that attacked me, I will run for dear life.
Yeah.
If I did that, I probably wouldn't know half the people that I know, and for clarity, it wasn't a white person, a white man who mugged me, a white English man who mugged me. It was a particular set of society, I'm not going to say, but I have not taken that experience and said, right, all of you are all the fucking same, so therefore get the fuck out of my way. I think that's what doesn't sit well.
Well, I think we have found a good point to stop at, Andy, because we cannot...
Did you not want to segue into what you wanted to discuss?
No.
Or was that too hot topic, hot button, or would you prefer to speak with Jem on that subject?
We'll discuss that one with Jem.
So listeners, we've got another discussion that is equally as sensitive, culturally sensitive.
Yes.
But we'll save that one for our glorious co-host and leader, Jem.
We'll say that for a really big conversation.
Yes.
But I think I've had a very enjoyable chat this evening. We've covered some interesting topics. Unfortunately, we cannot solve all the world's problems. I think we've been talking more than enough Codswallop this week. I've been Gemma. I've been James.
And I've been Andy. Thankfully, I've just been Andy. I've been no one else. No one else this week. I've been good. I played nicely.
Yes, he's not been Andre this week. I was just thinking how funny it'd be if I'd actually forgot I've been doing it. Just like wandered off.
Yeah, just wandered off, left me talking, and then not talking, and then talking again.